a proud history of global solidarity. In conjunction with the Socialist International Congress, members of the Metal Workers Union met in a small Zurich hotel. Discussions laid the foundations for international collaboration and the provision of mutual support between all metal workers' unions. Delegates from Austria, Hungary, Germany, Belgium, France, England, Switzerland, and the USA. Metal workers understood the strategic and important role that they played in protecting human and trade union rights. At the IMF's first Congress in 1893, the 30 metalworkers present made an appeal, of which many points are still valid today.
You who make the machines, who add year by year to the ranks of the unemployed, who force us to expend ever more strength for low wages. Yours is the great and sacred task of leading the march of the trade union organizations. Onwards, comrades, to freely determined action, so that your children can look back with pride on the deeds of their fathers. Let our watchword be forwards, ever forwards. Get organized. Organization is power.
The first years were characterized by serious conflicts, strikes, and lockouts. Funds were raised establishing a tradition of international solidarity that has significantly strengthened metal worker unions to this day. A sign of the times were the difficulties faced and the struggles waged by metal workers in all European countries, West and East, North and South, in opposing the forces of political reaction and the growing arbitrariness of the employers. We commemorate the countless, courageous trade unionists who sacrificed their lives in the resistance to fascism, National Socialism, and military regimes. It was in keeping with the spirit of solidarity that one of the most vital tasks in these years was support of member unions which were in need or had run into difficulty.
We must endeavor, even more than we did in the past, to coordinate our work at an international level, especially as regards the reduction of working hours, the harmonization of social services, help to underdeveloped countries, general observance of equal pay for equal work, increased international solidarity, and reciprocal assistance.
Apartheid in South Africa placed a heavy burden on the country during the 1960s. The black majority of the population had neither voting rights nor freedom. Black workers were not allowed to join trade unions, and anyone who refused to obey these laws was either arrested or subjected to constant harassment. The strike for a living wage in June 1980 in the Volkswagen Uitenhage plant was a turning point for South African trade unions. The IMF played a key role in supporting the striking workers and coordinating activities by staying in permanent contact with IG Metall and Volkswagen in Wolfsburg, Germany, to ensure that the workers would not be dismissed or that the police would not get involved. In 1966, a World Auto Conference was held in Detroit, and the first IMF World Auto Councils were established. The establishment of company councils was an innovative development since, For the first time, they provided an opportunity for workers employed at the same company but in different plants and countries to meet, exchange information, and coordinate their activities. Metalworkers were the first to adapt their organizational structure to corporate globalization. In 1973, the IMF proposed the inclusion of a social clause in the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, with the support of the Swedish government. The fight for the incorporation of core labor standards in all trade and investment agreements has been high on the IMF agenda since then. With the fall of the Berlin Wall, a new era in IMF history started at the Central Committee in 1991, when metal unions from Czechoslovakia, Hungary, the former German Democratic Republic, and Bulgaria joined or rejoined metal unions of the free world. A year later, the Polish and Romanian metalworkers were unanimously accepted into the IMF. Requests for affiliation from other countries in Central and Eastern Europe soon followed suit. The IMF has been at the forefront of the fight at the United Nations, the ILO, the OECD, and other bodies, and has pressed for mechanisms to control corporate power. In 2001, the IMF negotiated and signed its first international framework agreement, paving the way for transnational collective bargaining with multinational companies. Many other agreements have been signed since then. Since 2007, precarious work dominates discussion at the IMF Central Committee in Brazil and has become one of the IMF's top priorities. The IMF has teamed up with other global union federations and European sister organizations to tackle the rising trend of precarious work at the international level. International solidarity can and does lead to stronger national unions, unions that are able to improve the lives of metalworkers and working people everywhere. A proud history of global solidarity. The fight continues.